A few days after Thanksgiving 2022, Ukraine's Ministry of Defense tweeted a head-on photograph of an M142 High Mobility Artillery Rocket System HIMARS launcher, its headlights illuminating a rainy night. Painted white across the front of the truck and its open doors was a menacing, reptilian smile. With its pair of squat windshield portholes standing in for eyes, the weapon looked distinctly like a creature from Tim Burton's classic film The Nightmare Before Christmas. In anticipation of Christmas, a smiling HIMARS SIC collects occupiers under Christmas trees, the caption read. The bar, full of the insolent bravado that has made Ukraine's social media accounts globally popular, played up the near-celebrity status that the HIMARS mobile rocket launcher has achieved among Ukraine's supporters. Sweatshirts announcing, "It's HIMARS o'clock," and stickers emblazoned with an image of the coffin-shaped launcher loaded and aimed skyward all offer a winking way to taunt Russian invaders. In October, the launcher was crowned the coolest thing made in Arkansas by that state's Chamber of Commerce, beating out Frito-Lay's Cheetos, the Eichel mattress, and aviation fuel cells. While it may seem strange for a mobile weapons system designed to send a barrage of destructive missiles dozens of miles at more than twice the speed of sound to achieve the popularity of a movie character or a meme, the adulation of HIMARS makes sense in light of the destruction it has unleashed on the Russian army. Since the U.S. Defense Department delivered the first 4 HIMARS trucks to Ukraine at the end of June 2022, reports of their effectiveness have been steady, if not always verifiable. In late July, HIMARS was reportedly responsible for destroying the Antonivsky Bridge across the Dnipro River near the Russian-occupied port city of Kherson, which would be retaken by Ukrainian forces a few months later. In October, Ukrainian forces distributed aerial footage showing HIMARS rocket launchers stealthily moving through a forest near the occupied region of Luhansk, and then systematically obliterating a Russian tank convoy. As of September, U.S. defense officials said Ukraine has hit more than 400 Russian targets with HIMARS, while Russia has been unable to retaliate effectively. As of November, none of the 20 launchers in Ukrainian hands had been destroyed. HIMARS's start turn in Ukraine sparked a rush among U.S. allies to equip themselves with the system and coincided with NATO's launch of a new HIMARS logistics support structure as a keystone in its defense against Russia. The U.S. military, meanwhile, is busy developing new ways to employ HIMARS and expand its capabilities. Amid the furor hangs a question: why is HIMARS so good? Has it nearly maximized a determined Ukraine's effectiveness against a Russia unprepared for a modern conflict, or do the weapon's unique capabilities and design portend an even greater value on future battlefields? HIMARS may be newly famous, but it's not new. The system entered service for the U.S. Army and Marine Corps in 2005 after a decade of development by its manufacturer, Lockheed Martin. It is the most recent advance in a chain of weapons that can fire multiple rockets in quick succession, a game of weaponry one-upmanship that was born out of the Cold War. The Soviet Union was among the first nations to invest significantly in rocket artillery, fielding the first truck-mounted multiple rocket launchers during World War II. The Katyusha launchers delivered blanketing destruction rather than precision hits. Early versions, including the 132mm BM-13s, were nicknamed Stalin's organs because their rows of rocket tubes resembled the piped instrument. During the Cold War, the Soviet Union further developed the Katyusha platform, debuting the BM-21 Grad in 1963. This 122mm launcher, mounted on a 4.5-ton truck chassis, could fire a barrage of 40 rockets in as little as 20 seconds, and reload again in 3 minutes. Russians had a nickname for this one too, Hail, for the way its rockets rained down on an enemy position. The U.S. military, by contrast, continued to rely on its arsenal of howitzer cannons, which were seen as more reliable and accurate, even if they lacked the range and volume of multiple rocket launchers. But when the Soviet Union began exporting the BM-21 to other nations, and those nations used the multiple rocket launchers in their own battles, particularly the 1973 Yom Kippur War between Arab and Israeli forces, the U.S. saw how potent the weapon was, and questioned whether its own forces could defend against it. In a potential land battle between the US and Russia featuring multiple rocket launchers, the Russians were going to come and they were going to last forever, says John Ferrari, a retired Army Major General and non-resident senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, recalling the growing concern among American military planners. Howitzers, as steady and accurate as they were, couldn't sufficiently counter the range and destruction of Russia's rocket launchers. The US's belated answer was the M270 multiple launch rocket system, known as MLRS, which it developed in the mid-1970s. The launcher had space for 12 rockets atop a Bradley fighting vehicle, a heavy-duty tracked vehicle resembling a tank. The hulking 26-ton weapon first proved itself in 1991's Operation Desert Storm, the U.S. campaign to free Kuwait from Iraqi invaders. Recent reporting suggests that the effectiveness of the steel rain from the MLRS's unguided M26 fragmentation rockets was overblown by Army officials to boost future investments in long-range artillery. But Ferrari, who deployed to Kuwait as an executive officer with the Army's 2nd Cavalry Regiment, remembers being awed by the MLRS during nighttime missions. It alters your life when one of those things fires. It's so fantastic and big and loud and noisy, he says. It's like being at Cape Canaveral. HIMARS came next. Developed in the 1990s, it was built to fire improved MLRS munitions, a 6-pack pod of bullet-shaped guided rockets called GMLRS with ranges of more than 43 miles and accuracy within a few feet. While the MLRS mounted on a Bradley fighting vehicle chassis can reach top road speeds of 40 miles per hour, HIMARS can hit nearly 60 miles per hour, and accelerate significantly faster than its predecessor. The idea, as always in artillery operations, is to launch a payload and then clear out of the area before an enemy can locate the projectile's point of origin and respond. The Army calls this tactic, shoot and scoot, and no ground-based weapon does it better than HIMARS. Nicknamed the 70-kilometer sniper rifle, HIMARS is so accurate that it can hit a single room in a building dozens of miles away. GMLRS rockets are the most common HIMARS payload, and more than 50,000 of them have been made in 3 variants. The original one, called the Dual-Purpose Improved Conventional Munitions Rocket DPICM, is now out of service. The GMLRS Unitary has a 200-pound warhead for precision strikes in urban environments. And the GMLRS Alternative Warhead AA has a 200-pound explosive warhead that detonates about 30 feet above a target area and rains down 182,000 preformed tungsten fragments. Images posted to Twitter indicate that Ukraine has received both the Unitary and AA rockets. Lockheed Martin also is developing an extended-range version of the GLMRS, which it claims will hit targets more than 90 miles away. And then there's the thicker MGM-140 Army Tactical Missile System ATACMS missile, another HIMARS munition, which comes 1 to a pod and has a 190-mile range. Because the missile could be used by Ukraine to hit targets far inside Russia, the US has so far refused to provide the missiles to the embattled nation.